Hey guys, this is Jan. You're watching SketchaLona episode 38. I'm just off to the center to meet up with my friend Javi to go for a little coffee, maybe grab a beer. Who knows? It's the end of the week. I think we've both earned it. So far, my week has been going pretty good. I've gone back to editing my Matrix fan edit. In case you're new to this vlog series, this is really about me living in Barcelona and drawing to my heart's content in my sketchbook and updating you on all my little creative projects that I get up to after work in my spare time. Oh, that's nice, bud. And so the project that has once again consuming my every hour this past week, besides doing a little bit of doodling, is my Matrix Reloaded Revolutions fan edit. The idea for this fan edit is to have a go playing in someone else's universe, to stretch my fingers a little bit when it comes to editing, film editing, since most of my experience is editing these little vlogs, and to combine the two Matrix sequels into one. So far it's been going pretty good. I've been on and off it for, I think I've spent about 3 weeks full time on it. And then disaster struck and I lost one giant 16-hour session of editing. And so that bummed me out so much I haven't touched it for about 2 weeks, but now I'm back. And I've got some new good habits in place that allow me to make sure that I save everything and I'm not gonna lose any edits again. And so let me give you a little tease right here. So this scene now takes place right before Neo meets the architect. And the reason for that is that it now feels a little bit more like a boss battle, and that that Agent Smith is trying to prevent Neo from fulfilling the prophecy rather than some random battle just because it looks really cool. The battle's also been cut in half. You just saw him duplicating himself, and that now takes place before he attempts to do exactly the same thing to Neo, so there's a little bit more of a build-up to that, which happens right about now, I think. And then right after this, rather than continuing the fight for another, what feels like 5 to 10 minutes, he actually punches him straight through a wall into a scene from the third film in which he clearly gets hurt. Right after being infected, fighting off the infection and fighting him off some more. The others are confused to where he's gone because he's clearly warped halfway across the city, and it just adds a little bit more weight to the scene before he meets the architect. Like, it's a little bit more of a victory surviving him, you know? Oh, like. And it's been going well. So I've pretty much reclaimed everything that I had done before. Like, all the edits that I'd lost are pretty much back in place. Now I'm back at the really, really hard stuff, which is the like building of scenes that don't exist in the film. There's a couple of scenes that are like connective tissues to help move the plot along in my, well, I've moved so many scenes around to kind of retell the story from a different angle. That of course creates discrepancies in where people are in the scene, so I need to connect that a little bit better. But so the good thing is that I've watched having rendered out the film 3 times and having watched it twice, I've gotten kind of lazy and I've gotten kind of tired, and it's the end of the week, and sometimes a little bit of laziness and a little bit of tiredness in a creative project helps you discover just the right cheat to save a ton of time. And so what I've discovered is that, you know, I've been obsessing in one scene in particular at the start of the film to redo an introduction, and then I realized, like, you know, to hell with it. Like, I don't need to reintroduce this movie myself. Everything that I've created so far sounds totally cheesy, and it makes me just feel embarrassed thinking of other people watching it, quite frankly. And like what is there, the string of images, so to speak, is perfectly fine. But also there's another scene where I really needed to show one of the main characters going from point A to point B, because I completely disconnected it the way I was joining scenes together. And I was completely like imagining like the kind of scenes like him actually moving and having to dig up street scenes, like maybe from Chicago, from Sydney, where they shot the film, and like trying to create some moving images from street scenes, until I realized like, well, actually the action is so fast-paced the way I've edited it in some parts anyway, I can totally get away with it. Just using some still images and just showing what I want to show to connect those dots in the viewers' minds. So yeah, that's my solution, and that is my big update for that one particular project. It's almost done. I figure if I pull this off just right, I found another 2 mistakes in it. But if I play this just right, it's one more render and I can upload it, and then you guys all get to watch it. Where am I? I'm totally lost. Simulating shoes, anyone? So art. There's about 3 or 4 more pages left in my little sketchbook, in the smaller one, and then it's full. So I'll definitely be showing you that one later on. But for now, a little bit more sightseeing. Let's grab that drink, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about inking. So see you guys in a bit. So last week, one of the V100s, Teresa, asked me the question about how I go about inking and if I could do a little tutorial about that. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about inking. What you're watching right now is one of my answers to your questions, like how to pick out the right lines. And as you can see, I'm actually drawing without pencil. This is like straight to inks. Now, of course, it takes a little bit of practice to get to the point where you feel comfortable just going in and rendering out a face. So please keep in mind that the only reason you're watching this little video is because it came out all right. I'm not going to show you a video in which I do horrible. I think this one came out all right, and it kind of reminds me of that character from Wildcats, the homeless millionaire leader. So I didn't just pull it out of nowhere. So yeah, so one exercise I find that is really awesome for kind of practicing your line art is to ditch pencils. I love pencils, I love sketching, but because with inks you have to like really know what you're doing. I found it a really good exercise to get rid of the pencils, to get a thick marker, and to just draw in marker, whether it's from life or whether it's from an idea you have, because it forces you to really think about the lines that you put down. And because it's a thick marker, there's no way for you to sketch. There's no way for you to get it exactly right. But it's a different way of kind of getting out of the whole mentality of sketching, you know? But why is it that we sketch anyway? Like, in a way, like for me at least, like I sketch because I have an idea. I'm not quite sure what it looks like, or I'm trying to build what I can see in my mind's eye. And so I'm trying to put that on paper, and I kind of start over here and then build out the shapes to find those forms and to get that onto the paper. And so what I find in like the way I draw with pencil is I tend to go too dark too quickly, and I tend to overdo it when I do sketch. That it kind of ruins the paper. So that when you want to go on top of that with ink after that, it really doesn't look very nice. And so one of the things that I found really helpful is how there's a couple of really good tutorial videos by Kevin Cross on inking and on drawing. I think it's called his 13 lessons for making comics. I'll be sure to post a link down below. But like one of the things that I've always noticed with Kevin, and he even pointed it out in his recent sketchbook video, is he uses different colors for different stages in the process. And Gaz is really good at iterating on drawings as well, like having different passes. But like what I found very helpful, like watching their videos, is that they have very specific stages that they go through. Like, you know, there's the rough sketch, then there's the better sketch, then there's the line art, and then they finally go to inks, or they do another pass, and they do that in different colors on the same page. Whereas like my workflow, what I found more helpful with me is I do a quick sketch, like small or large, doesn't matter, but it's really rough. And then I do another sketch, which is on a separate piece of paper where I redraw it, but a little tighter. And then I have the nice paper that I want to keep nice because I want to draw in inks on it. And I've noticed that when I then sit down and draw on that piece of paper, I try and keep my line art as tight as possible. And because by then I've drawn 3 versions, I kind of know what I'm doing. And so I can get the shapes down pretty quickly and very light. And I try and draw it in pencil lightly the way I would like the inks to look, but not too detailed, because that comes in the actual inking stage. So I don't feel like I'm doing everything twice. So because I'm just trying to save on time that way. Now that I don't have any videos of that to show you, so I thought it would be fun to create something like really rough and then ink that. So this weekend I made a very rough little comic book. I didn't really have a story, so I didn't give it too much thought. So I decided to basically draw like some feelings and some stuff, household chores that I was going through on Saturday. And that's it. Like, there's no really deep meaning. It's just my Saturday. It was kind of lame. And I drew that, and then I did a page today at work, like editing the videos, which is what I was talking about earlier in this video. And I just drew that really rough, like really fast, so I can get a couple of pages going. So I want to show you inking that. So here goes. So here's my little comic. You just watch me ink this one really rough. That's how it would look, shall we? Figured I should really show you the whole thing first before I go over it in ink, so it's a little clear what I'm doing. That's it. Nice and short, no real story. Some stuff that happened. So let's have a go here. So I was having a go with the camera locked into this thing, but that, well, didn't quite go so well. I think this will go a little better. So let me just move over. So the question was, once again, how do I pick my lines? So one thing that is kind of a funny thing. One second, let me just close the door. When it comes to inking, so I think most of what is, like what has to be drawn is here. Like there's some variations here and I can pick and choose a little bit, but like for the most part I'd be thinking like, okay, well, is there like an overall light source, or is there a very particular light source for dramatic purposes? Like there's a bit of shadow here. Okay, so that means all of these should be thicker and these should be thinner, just to clearly indicate where the light source is. There's a little bit of rendering here, like a little bit of detail. Well, is this going to be black and white, and should I fully render like for example the cup? Like if I, like here everything is very white, and I can see how this would pop a lot more if I put something on the cup like it is in real life, or just give it a texture, you know. Other things when it comes to texturing that I keep in mind now is that you don't have to draw everything. Like I'm not meticulously drawing the keyboard, and neither am I doing that here, but it's perfectly clear what this is. So these are some of the things I think about before I head in with inks. So you got the thick one. I also want to use my my pencils on this one, because on the front page it all got a little too thick, and I think a nice combination would be better. And there's one more thing I'd like to point out that I really try and pay attention to when I ink these days. So to give you a little bit of an example. Line weight. So I was talking a little bit about light source, but like looking at this drawing right here, which I really like just the way it is, especially if I actually add some color to it one time. But this one would really help. It would really help if there'd be a clear outline for this one to really make it stand out, like what the shapes are. Other kinds of outlines that I pay a lot more attention to these days, like if you look at this drawing right here, like he's in the foreground, and so I should have a really thick outline here, or in reverse, the really thick outline on the background character. But I could really make these different shapes that are different characters stand out a lot better from one another by giving them a different kind of outline. It doesn't have to be like a perfectly closed one, but that is one thing that I've really been picking up on a lot more lately. It's a little bit more obvious in this one because there's a lot more black in the foreground picture than on the background picture. But you can see the effect thin and like heavier lines have. Like here, this is completely out of place. These two thick lines on his arm. If it be here, it would really make his like the jacket, the dinner jacket, stand out from his arm so that it's in front of the arm, you know. Other things that I pay a lot more attention to, which is a great way to save time, is just filling shapes with black, or Like if you look at this one right here, see all this rendering over here? Some of it looks kind of nice, but it would really help the shapes over here a lot more. And this is really in the background. If it'd be more like this over here, which is very clear, like this cape billowing in the wind. But all this is, unless you're really paying attention, it's just not very clear what is happening here with the cloth. And it would really help if just parts of it were just filled with black. You know, kind of like how you see here with the hair and this over here. It just becomes a lot more clearer. Those are some of the other things that I pay attention to now when I sit down and look at it and think and then start inking. So I hope that helps. And now it's almost time for bed. I have to render this video and upload it. So hopefully by Wednesday I can put it together because I'm 3 days late. Hope you guys had fun watching this video. Hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. I hope that answers your question today, how I try and think about how I ink. And I'll be seeing you guys, hopefully on time, next Sunday. Adios.